Okay, welcome back. I'm the colorblind architect, and just like I told you in my last video, I'm gonna make this little video about the current Archicad 29 technology preview. Now, if you don't already have the Archicad 29 technology preview, until the end of August, okay, so you've only got a few days left, go ahead and sign up for it on the Archicad website. You can then download it, you can try it out, and I think it is linked to whatever subscription you already have. If you have the Collaborate More or whatever they're calling the current subscription, but regardless, let's get into it. So I've already opened up a brand new instance of Archicad 29 technology preview here, and it comes with this little learning center. With some tutorials. The reason why I did that is so that we can go through some of the new features. And so we're going to start right here with the new feature set. And I don't know if you can see this, but the first thing it talks about is this new Graphisoft AI assistant. Now, frankly, I think this is kind of a dumb feature. Maybe in the future it's going to be great, but basically what it does is it allows you, so let's say, let's just start by drawing some quick walls. And then, I'm going to go ahead and change a couple of these walls to, okay. It looks like they changed the way that the walls are done on Archicad 29. But basically, we're going to go and change these to be a couple taller walls. And then if you go into Archicad AI Assistant, and once you have that AI Assistant, you click on this little blue thing down here, accept the terms and conditions. You can say something like select all walls that are 15 feet taller than the others. Let's just see how well this does. Because, so basically the AI assistant is supposed to be able to do workflow commands with you. So as you can see, it actually did select the two walls that I had made taller than the other walls. So yay, that works. This is just another way of doing the find command. There's other features that you can do. You can ask it how to do things. So I think I would say this is kind of like Clippy on steroids. So if you remember Microsoft Word from the 1990s, if you're old enough, there was this assistant called Clippy, and it was a little paper clip. It was great. Okay, so it wasn't, but it was cute. And I think a lot of people have fond memories of it just because it was kind of this cute little silly cartoon feature that that Microsoft Office had back in those days. I wish Microsoft would actually bring it back now that they have ChatGPT as part of the Microsoft workflow. I think it would be kind of cool to bring back Clippy, because frankly, Clippy was awesome. Even though back in the 90s he wasn't. But this is kind of, I see this being kind of like that. I feel like the AI assistant is basically Clippy on steroids. So that's the first feature to talk about. Okay, now here's another cool feature. The second feature that we're going to talk about is rotate objects quickly. So as you know, in the past, what you would do is if you wanted to rotate something, you would do command on the Mac, you would do Command E. On the Windows, you'd do Control E. And it would bring up this little protractor. You'd hit your center point, set the first ray, and then you can rotate it wherever you want, right? Well, now they have this new feature where instead of doing that, you can do control, like I said, control on Windows, command on Mac, shift, then R, which will basically do a counterclockwise rotation. So that's counterclockwise, and then if you do it command R or control R, it does clockwise. It says that it's doing clockwise. It looks like it's actually doing the reverse. So, but regardless, really handy if you just need like quick 90-degree rotations of an object. It can be really useful. This is actually a feature that I think has been a long time coming. I think it's something that simple should have been implemented a long time ago. All right, let's move on to the next feature, 3D resolution control. For this next feature, it basically allows you to set the dots per inch, so that if you need this to be able to be a printable view, it allows you to more fine-tune control how detailed the rasterized output of the 3D view on your 2D sheet is going to be. The reason why this is important is, let's just say you are doing a 3D view here. Well, if we go back to this and then we save view and place on layout, so the issue in the past has been, it's just kind of whatever the on-screen setting is. So what this new feature is that it's going to allow us now to set the DPI. So let's say we want to up this to 2400 by 1800, and now it's going to make it a lot bigger. And as you can see, now it's actually a finer resolution than it would have been otherwise, because now it's at 288 dots per inch. So, yay. Okay. For those who use 3D views like this on sheets, this is very helpful. I don't do this too often in my plan sets, and that's why I'm not as big on this feature, but helpful. Okay, direct input of an opening in section and elevation. So let's go there. Let's go to an elevation view, and we're going to open that up. So basically it is what it says it is. You can add openings into an elevation or a section view, which is great. You can even edit it. Isn't that nice? All right, so the next feature, this is actually more of like a library update, which honestly, great. There's some nice things added, not much, but I think the biggest thing I'm excited about is the fact that we now are going to have some nicer looking, and I'm just switching to the Archicad layer. We have some nicer looking trees. So let's go and look for the trees. Exterior improvements, planting, and it comes on. We come down here to like the 2D texture top view. So there's deciduous, pine, palm, and evergreen. So let's say we go for the palms, and then there's a bunch of different palm types here. And if we go to pine, a bunch of different pines here. So let's say we wanted this type of pine tree, and we can plop that in. It looks really nice. It's basically a photorealistic type view of one, which that's going to be nice because you can easily add some very compelling looking 2D graphics into your site plans. So that's a nice one. Another one that it's mentioning is some different types of elevator doors. So of course, elevators, we're going to find that over here in conveying systems, elevators, and then what we're going to find is when we go to the doors, there's some more car style doors here. What am I supposed to tell you? Yay? I mean, it's a great feature. I mean, like to add, but I wish there was more to it. I mean, I wish there was, like, for example, it would be great if, like, a lot of the major manufacturers of elevators had their standard elevator types pre-built into the library. I think that would be a lot more useful to me. Frankly, I usually use the Archicad elevator tool as more of like a placeholder, not as much something to actually use as real graphics. If I can, I try to get the official graphics from the elevator manufacturer, whether that's Otis or Kone or Schindler or TK. Those are the 4 manufacturers that are most common here in the United States. I don't know about in other places. I'd love if you drop in the comments and tell me what elevator manufacturers you have in your home countries, in Europe, Asia. What are the most popular elevator companies? And personally, I would love to see that. I would love to see our Graphisoft actually work with the elevator manufacturers and get their actual content, their actual real types of elevators, whether it be hydraulic elevators or traction elevators, like machine roomless. I'd love to have these different types of elevators kind of have like a parametric object within the Archicad library, so I don't have to go shopping around every time for an elevator. I can just select from the ones that I already know, because most of my projects are going to have similar types of elevators, because most of my projects are low to mid-rise apartment projects. So there's not a whole lot of variation there, but I sure would love it if I could choose, hey, is this a 3,500 pound elevator? Is this a 4,000 pound elevator? Does this one need to be a stretcher compatible elevator? Yeah, I mean, these are things that would be really helpful rather than having to go through all these different settings every time. Sure, I could set up favorites, but it's like still, it's not the actual elevator that I'm specifying. And that's what makes this elevator tool not that useful. And the ones from the actual elevator manufacturers, unfortunately, they're all built for Revit. At least here in the United States they are. Or there's such horrible quality, the models that the elevator manufacturers provide, that I end up still using the Archicad elevator and then just throw in the detail sheets from the elevator manufacturer I plan to use. So Graphisoft, here's a freebie. Please work with the elevator manufacturers. Encourage them to help you build this out as an actual usable tool, so that we can specify their elevators, because after all, they're making bank. They're making tons of money off of these elevators that we architects are specifying. So I would think that for the elevator manufacturers, they should want to work with you. Please do that. All right, next. It also talked about the improved multi-panel sliding door. Honestly, this one, when I was trying to figure it out, I so far have not been able to figure out, like, what are they even talking about? Because if I go to the specialty doors and sliding doors, and I go to the multi-panel sliding doors, it looks like the same library that I'm used to in the past. And I'm not sure, Graphisoft, but maybe you did this for like other markets. In the U.S. market, you left it as basically the old U.S. library and just didn't update it. I'd love if somebody from Graphisoft is watching this, they could comment on it. I'd love to see more information on this. But yeah, there you go. There's multi-panel sliding doors. Yay. Okay, let's move on to the next enhancement. Filter and select unused views. Okay. So this next feature has to do with the view list. So there's a view list that you can look at now, and it allows you to figure out which of your views are actually on a sheet and which aren't. It can be kind of helpful to very quickly kind of clean up your navigator so that you don't have so many saved views that aren't being used. So this is great. I'm planning on definitely using it. All right. Easily expand and collapse folders. Okay. So this next feature, really small improvement. This is easily expand and collapse folders. So over here in the project navigator, I can right click on this folder and just say expand all below. There's also a keyboard shortcut. It looks like it is like all. I think that's, yeah. So that's basically alt, left, or right. So left to collapse, right to expand all. So very minor improvement. And you might notice that this is a trend with Archicad 29. Most of these improvements are very small incremental changes that just enhance things just a little bit. All right, our next feature, schedule formatting improvements. This is something that you can already see in this view list that we talked about earlier. You can see how there's some nicer colors and stuff like that. So let's actually go to another schedule, and I think we're going to open up the wall schedule because this one actually has some information. And basically, what you can see in the schedule is there's different colors for different columns, which is great. And then you also have some additional information added here. So like this is actually an automated total here. But you can like edit individual fields, change colors. You can create custom text or sum of values. So basically, it's moving the schedules a lot more closer to a spreadsheet, except that it's still live updating from the BIM model. So that's this one I'm actually really excited about because being able to create such colorful and much more data-rich schedules, that's something that I'm very excited about. One of the other things that I'm excited about is that in one of the read-ups that I did on the schedule formatting is that apparently you're going to be able to more precisely control units. So like, for example, customize the results. You can show 0 units as 0 or custom text. And then I think there's supposed to be a way that you can also adjust what units and what thresholds for a specific data type. So again, I'm still just barely learning this content, so I haven't really learned all the ins and outs, but supposedly that's a feature. So hopefully in a future video I can, after I've learned more about this feature set, I can come back and actually give you a better analysis of how this works. All right, so for this one, we're going to go back to the floor plan, and this one I mentioned in my the hike video of Grand View that I released a couple days ago. This is a really minor thing, but it's huge for me. I'm really excited about this. So if you go to the Polyline tool and you can select your arrowheads for the start and the finish. So for example, I can do a dot on one end and an arrow on the other end. And so this also works with splines. And here's the other cool thing. If you select it, you can actually hit the F button for flip, and it instantly flips. Okay, so, and I know this is a really, really small feature add, but this one actually will save me a lot of time. I am really excited about this one, even though it is such a small incremental change. But thank you, Graphisoft. This one I really appreciate. Okay, renovation status for markers. Okay, so obviously we've got our elevation markers here. These are the ones out of, this is just the stock default template from our Graphisoft. I didn't modify this template at all, so these elevation markers look like crap, but I guess the point is we can change that to demolition and then say new construction, and look at that. That north elevation disappeared because it is on the demolition layer. So if I go to the demolition plan, say now this is showing. So that's really nice, because like there are times when you want to be able to have a different elevation for your a different elevation and an elevation marker or section marker for during different phases of construction. Now, Graphisoft, here's what you got to do. This is great. Now allow us to add multi-phase construction. So in other words, not just existing demolition and new, allow us to create multiple phases of demolition and construction, so that, like, let's say a hospital project where you might have multiple phases of the project where you have to move, let's say, because one of the projects that I did early in my career was an emergency department expansion at a hospital, and we had 6 phases. We actually had to first move the emergency department into a different section of the hospital. So to do that, we first had to move another department into a different area, so that then we could create a special current, temporary emergency department, because that had to stay up 24/7. That had to keep running all the time. Well, once we got that moved in, then we could finally start on the demolition of the actual original emergency department, so that then we could start building the new emergency department. Then once we get all of the new emergency department built, then we had to demolish the temporary one and then move the other departments back around it. So, and all of these departments had to stay up and running 24/7. They could not be shut down, because this was a tier 1 hospital that deals with level 1 trauma. So there was no way to, stop any kind of part of the use of the hospital. So my point is, Graphisoft, allow us to have multiple phases of construction, because sometimes that's very necessary. Most projects we don't need it, but to be able to add additional phases to the project within the revision, within the renovation tool set, because I love the renovation tool set. The renovation filters, great. I love them. But right now I have to use workarounds like different layers, or you could use design options. But frankly, I would love it to just be right in the renovation tool. That'd be great. Please, Graphisoft, do that. But in terms of changing these elevation markers to being something that we can set by renovation filters, very, very much appreciated. That is actually a very helpful tool. Very minor, but very helpful. All right, easily replace PDF pages. All right, so for this next feature, easily replace PDF pages. Now, I'm sure all of us have had this situation where you have a PDF inserted on a layout, and you need to change which sheet of a multi-page PDF that is being referenced. and you end up having to reinsert the whole thing. And so in this situation, instead of having to go to the link drawing to like you did before, now you just get to say replace page, select the other page, and voila, it changes it. So that's a nice one too. Okay, finally, Archicad connections. I'm not going to demonstrate this one because you can read up on these, but BIM Plus connection, which is all plan, or Bluebeam connection, which I'm a Mac user, so I don't give a crap about Bluebeam because Bluebeam doesn't support Mac. Even though I was highly disappointed when Nemetschek, who's the parent company of Graphisoft, bought Bluebeam. For some reason, there was a Bluebeam for Mac version before that, and then Nemetschek killed that, even though Nemetschek owns Vectorworks and Archicad, which are both Mac-based. And I'm just like, why? So instead, for PDFs, what I use is PDF Expert. All right. So they are not paying me for this. I actually pay for this software myself. But PDF Expert is, if you're a Mac user, this is the one to use. Why? Because it's quick. It's light on its feet. It's really easy to use. Has all the annotation and measurement tools that Bluebeam has. It allows me to apply stamps. It allows me to do signatures and everything. It's so great. And it's actually a Ukrainian company based in Kyiv, and they do a fantastic job. I love supporting this company, and I'm grateful that they are there. So PDF Expert, really great option. They have versions also for the iPad, which I use all the time. One of the things that I love about it is I can take, if I have a document open on the like, for example, let's say I have this one. This was actually from another architect that somebody was asking me about helping out for a tenant improvement of this plan. So this other architect had done the original building remodel, and now there's a tenant. And so this person, that's why I have this sheet from another architect. But the cool thing is like, if then I open up my iPad, okay, then on my iPad, if I have the PDF Expert open, then right here in the bottom of my iPad, the PDF Expert shows up. Because this file is open on the Mac, I can click here and boom, it's now open on my iPad, and now I can use my pencil and I can do a markup. Very easy. And so I can redline the plan. So I find that really great. And then the other great thing is, while it's open, then on the Mac, when I need to transfer it back to the Mac, I can just click on the button, that same button in the little thingy down here. Why am I forgetting that? The dock, like if I go down to the dock, then that PDF Expert will show up there. I know that was a little diversion, but here's the thing. I really love it, and I would say that if you are a Mac user, that's the one to go with, not Adobe. Adobe sucks with PDFs, even though they were in the inventors of PDFs. And Bluebeam, yeah, they don't have a Mac version, so screw them. But anyways, that was a little side note based on this Bluebeam connection. I'm sure for you Windows users, that's going to be helpful. Great, wonderful. I don't care about that feature. Okay, so those are the main new features. There are some new other features for MEP Designer, and so yeah, those are the main new features. The great thing is when you open up Archicad 29 Technology Preview, it's going to have this little learning center. It's going to have these different tutorials. So great. hopefully this has been a helpful little walkthrough. And if you'd like me to do a deeper dive on any of these new features, or anything else, if you have any other questions about Archicad, let me know. I love making these videos for you guys. I know I've been really busy because I've got quite a few different large projects that I've been working on, and I've just been way busier than I thought I would be. Okay, anyways, thank you for joining me. I'm the Colorblind Architect. Peace out.